Hi, welcome aboard the first of our 1992 series of Chris Conroy's Leisure World. This is our 14th year. We're having quite a few innovations this year. In fact, we're welcoming some new presenters aboard. Apart from Nev Howard, who'll be handling fishing as he always has, we're going to welcome aboard Alan Jones and Alan Grice to handle motoring subjects, and we're going to throw them some curves and give them some cars that they haven't before had much experience with. And we're also going to welcome aboard another presenter to handle the leisure aspects of the show. So watch out for some changes for the better during 1992 in Chris Conroy's Leisure World. One of the major landmarks at the end of last year was the release of my book, Boating, the First Step. And I'd like to say thanks to all the people who not only bought the book, but who took the trouble to contact us by phone or letter and tell them how useful it was for them and how much they enjoyed it. And one of the chapters in the book deals with hull forms. Now, this is probably one of the most vexed questions in the marine industry and has been virtually since the innovation or the start of planing hulls in the late 30s. Whether you have one keel or two or three, how you actually configure the bottom of the boat to give optimum performance across all of the sea conditions that the boat is likely to encounter in its normal usage. Now, just about everybody has a different way of approaching that, and surprisingly, just about every one of those ways works, but some people lean in different directions. Now, one of those people is Ralph Morgan, who for many years, for 30 odd years in Brisbane, has run Hydro Marine and who has an innovative and unusual, in other words, a lateral attitude towards the design of boats. Now, Ralph found that the boats that were supplied by manufacturers didn't necessarily suit his purposes, so in typical fashion, he set up a factory to build plate aluminium boats to his particular design. The design he calls Tri-Gull Wing, and he spells Tri, T-R-Y, and the gull wing aspects of it come in with the addition of a pair of stabilising sponsons down either chine. Now, it's not a cathedral because these sponsons only run for about a third of the length of the hull from the transom forward. Now, it's undergone a 5-year development period, and Ralph has cut and shut. He's made major alterations and minor alterations, and he's come up with the epitome of this particular hull form. Now, the representative Tri-Gull wing at the beginning of 1992 is this 5.8 metre, fully optioned, walk-around, cuddy cabin fishing boat. Now, it's a combination of a couple of different layouts. Obviously, it has all of the attributes of a centre console, which are favoured by fishermen, but within that central structure, there is also a very comfortable and livable cabin, and we'll see in just a minute just how Ralph makes it comfortable and livable. Now, the overall length of the boat is 5.8 metres, beam of 2.3 metres. Dead rise forward is 38 degrees, and you can see it quite clearly there, and aft is 28 degrees. Now, 28 degrees of dead rise is regarded as a very deep V indeed, and without the benefit of the stabilising sponsons, the boat would be extremely unstable at rest, even though it would come up with a smooth ride. The sponsons lift out of the water, or almost all the way out of the water when it's up on the plane, so therefore they don't impact the ride, but they do give you soft ride in combination with stability. Now, most boats up until this time with walk-arounds have suffered very badly from the point of view of other aspects of their interior room, their livability. Ralph, because of the size of the boat and his genius for design, has been able to incorporate this walk-around, which not only is very useful when you're playing a fish, but is also very useful as a safety well, as a haven, if you have to move forward on the boat in rough seas. It avoids you having to clamber around slippery and unprotected side decks, and makes the boat far safer to use in virtually all contexts. It also means that somebody can fish forward in comfort and also alongside the cabin in comfort. So rather than the average 5.8 metre boat of this type comfortably fishing 2 or a maximum of 3 people, this boat will comfortably fish 5 people, and that really is a huge benefit. Effectively, you're buying a bigger boat for the same amount of money. Now, its performance is also interesting. The side sponsons generate a high degree of lift. They actually lift the back of the boat out of the water, and that has an impact on the amount of power that it takes to run the boat. You can see the wash coming out from under, the 2 feathers coming out from under the hull where the sponsons have shaped it there, alongside the 100 horsepower 4-cylinder Mara. Now propped to give 40 kilometres an hour at 4,200 cruise revolutions. This boat uses 18 litres of fuel an hour, giving 300 kilometres range from its 160 litre fuel tank. Now, up until about 1800 revs, the motor only runs on 2 cylinders. It's set up to do that. And that means that for trolling and for low speed operations, you're using around about 5 litres per hour, which is very cheap running indeed. And with a boat such as this, that will be quite a large part of its usage. You do your 40 kilometres an hour with a soft ride in tropic conditions to get out to where the fish are, and then you spend several hours trolling at around about 5 litres an hour. Now there are several different models of Gull wing, different sizes, and also Ralph options the boat so that you can buy this particular hull in 4 different stages. Stage 1 is very basic, up to stage 4, which is fully optioned. There's some idea of the stability of the boat with all of the complement on one side and with a chop coming from the side. Now the interior is laid out with Ralph's usual attention to detail and with his lateral approach to the utilisation of interior space. You just saw how wide and comfortable the walkway is. There are rod holders down both sides of the boat, across the transom, and also in the rocket launcher across the after end of the rigid soft top. That's the fish cleaning tray, which has running water and a sink. There is a live bait tank as well as a kill tank. This is the live bait tank in the after end of the transom, and this is the underfloor kill tank. Now there is also large buoyancy sponsons up either side under the hull, so virtually the entire central portion of the underfloor part of the hull is used. The seats not only fold up and down, but in the case of the side seats they are movable fore and aft so that you can position yourself wherever you really need to be to do whatever you're doing. There are rod stowage holders down either side of the boat underneath the gunnel, so the rods are nice and secure there. And the interior of the cabin itself is most interesting. There are soft covered zip up or Velcro operated stowage compartments both inside the cabin and underneath the soft top. They are suitable and ideal of course for stowing of soft items such as life jackets. The panel lifts out of the bottom of the floor and then folds open to form the infill for the V-berths, and the backrests for the actual seats inside the cabin are then used as mattress infills for the V-berth, giving an extremely large and very comfortable sleeping area inside the boat. Well over 2 metres of headroom right through the length of the boat. Another idea of the ingenious zipped up stowage compartments, and the top half of the folding windscreen opens up for full ventilation. Now also underneath the floor in the cabin area of the boat there is extra stowage. You lift the floor out and you find that you can stow scuba equipment under there or whatever else you need to stow, and it's very readily accessible. Now Ralph and Del Morgan are not your typical marine retailers. Ralph has been dedicated to boating all his life, as has his family, and he spent 30 years in the marine business. Now rather than selling the boats that he's able to buy from manufacturers, he's actually, through a process of intensive research, determined exactly what the customer pool needs, requires and wants, and he's spent a long time making sure that those needs and requirements are filled exactly. The Hydro Marine Gull wing. We'll be back right after this break.